Hey, what's up, Vinny? Milkus Outdoors. And today we're going to go, I'm doing a theory and finesse fishing deal and go over a technique that I truly have fallen in love with. This rod doesn't fall on me. Excuse me. But the first thing I want to talk about is, the burgeoning tournament organizations out there, and one that's up and coming. I got to kind of see a little bit of this weekend. And I knew this was out there, and it's it's coming up. It's really I've enjoyed watching the actual trail. It's the Apex Tour. Let's just get it out. It's the Apex Cup stuff, the Apex Tour that's run by Wild West Bass, which is they've done interesting things out west. They've came up, I believe Gary Dobbins started it and then sold it, and he moved, I believe, to Texas. But they've slowly been building something out west, and with this Apex series, or the Apex Trail, let's scoot up here just a little bit. The Apex Trail, it seems very interesting. Now, I don't know a whole lot about it, so I don't want to misspeak, but just from what I've gathered, I mean, it seems like it's taken both worlds of the 5-fish limit and then a cumulative catch and combined them. And then two, it also has this aspect from listening to some of the guys where, there's no practice, significant off limits when they just tell you got so many days to get over there and fish this thing, and you're on the fly, and I love it. And not only that, to couple that with that is you go to these cool lakes out west. It's in a western deal, and like they were just at Lake Mojave. Granted, they canceled day 3 due to high winds, and I don't know if they'll go back and reef or fish that day 3, the top 10, but Mojave in January, I don't know how great that is, but they pulled in some good bags, and it was kind of cool to watch. Now, the only thing they don't have is like live underwater, on the water coverage, but they have good weigh-ins. They have good top 10 tracking, it looks like. I only see this growing up. See, the difference is it seems like this organization has really taken the steps over a long-term, like they have a long-term vision where they're slowly taking these steps, to not get themselves in a financial situation where they have to go away. So they've really been growing nice and steadily, and I like this concept that they're bringing to those organizations. So it's like one of these things. I love the name. I love the way they're doing things, just like on the fly type fishing, and not I think that goes back to the true essence of the sport, where you don't have all indefinite practices or 3-day practice. It's just like go out there and do it. Hey, we're going to show up this body of water on this day. Bam, go to town, right? And so I was very enthusiastic watching this, and it was some good, interesting ways. A lot of people know about Mojave either. I think it wasn't really on its game. I mean, Mojave, from what I've heard, which I haven't fished it. It's one of the only lakes. It is the only lake on the Colorado chain that I have not fished. But Mojave is off the chain. It's supposed to be one of the best fisheries there really is around that Southwest. But that word really hasn't gotten out there, and when it does, I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully the lake doesn't get beat up. But so they were there. I don't know if it was in the best time, but you could see some really good smallmouth, a few good largemouth. But it's a beautiful fishery just you can see from the pictures. And I think that this league is the future for the West. I think it's going to be. The Apex. I think this is it. It seems like everybody on the West Coast they're not competing against each other like one bass versus these guys or FLW versus. It seems like with the guidance of Bass Cat and Rick Pierce and some of these guys that they are kind of all on the same page, trying to build something out there that's sustainable. Okay. Having said that, actually, that's one of my goals. I think I want to pivot, and maybe not this year. I'm going to try something a little differently, but maybe the next year, fish some of these Wild West in an attempt to get on this tour, because it looks like a blast, man. And I love fishing out west. And what I've really over this last year, what has really gotten in my mind is going back to the love of fishing and a love of the waters that I fish, which brings me back to the West a lot. Just the beauty of the lakes, the dynamic nature of the bodies of water and the fish that are living in there. As opposed to out east. I mean, I still love fishing, but it just doesn't seem the same. But anyway, I'm going to pull this rig out here. So one of this last year, one of the rigs that really saved my bacon, it's a finesse rig, and a lot of people use it in all various applications, fishing whatever offshore, small shoals or whatnot, and I have too in the past. But what what I've really done with this rig, and that's one of the theories, is applied it to dock fishing. And dock fishing is normally viewed as a power fisherman's arena because you're around a lot of cables, you're around a lot of uh, structure in a sense. I mean, it's not cover or structure is more like the bottom country. This is more cover or man-made cover, which where there'd be big cement emplacements there with cables, wood, pillars or whatnot. And when you get fish on there, it's really tough to get them out. So you think that that's a straight power fisherman's realm, and it really is, I guess, in a sense. But what I've been able to do is I apply a certain rig. You can throw a drop shot around these things too. You can throw a lot of other things, Ned rigs, but they don't seem to be as effective as this. And then one of the reasons is like you can really skip this bait very well, and that's the Neko rig. The Neko rig is and granted, you can beef that up. You can beef a Neko rig up and get in there. But what really saved my bacon a lot of times this year was throwing the finesse style, where I'd throw in a very clear body of water in the west, and that is, a bait like this is a jackal. I can't even remember what this is. It's their flick shake worm. That's what it is, a flick shake worm. And I have various colors. Now you can use other stuff. Yamamoto has a really good line of baits for this, like the thin, but they are super. Well, the durability is a question. Let's put it that way, and that's what you get with Yamamoto. They're great baits. If you can run the little tape around this and hook instead of hooking directly to the worm, it'll save you a little bit there. If you can glue your weight in, like I have, this is a VMC nail weight, which I have various sizes. I mean, everybody runs a nail weight, doesn't really matter. You just want that weight to be on that end. But anyway, some of the things I do with this, because what I was just alluded to is things breaking apart on this. So one of the reasons a lot of guys don't throw this around or don't skip it up there is because what happens is you eventually start losing weights, you start ripping baits, and it just becomes one of those things where you can use something else. But what I've found is that going behind people, this bait excels. I mean, I've been able to go behind really highly pressured fish in docks, skip this bait up there, get them on. I worry about getting the fish on, and then I worry about getting them out later. So I use the same technique, same rod and reel setup that I use fishing in the open water. And that right here is an old school. It's an older, I know it's an expensive rod. You don't need an expensive rod, but it's a 6.8 NRX. The green series, you can tell it's old because they don't even have these anymore. This is just, I guess they did it 1 or 2 years, and I got this on special. So it's an excellent rod, and I have a Stratic CI4, keeping it lightweight, running the Suffix 6 or 8 pound test. Let me get that on my braid with then go to a 6 pound backing. If I'm around the docks, I'll probably go 8 pound fluoro. But I like to keep it light still. So 6 to 8 pound fluoro. And then I run the Brett Ayler Gamakatsu Neko hook, which you can see here, they're just awesome. They're just great hooks. And like I said, I use various Yamamoto jackal style worms that are super pliable, various weights. Here's the thing I do with this though. If I can run a tape, there you can get various, tape to tape this, and then I can hook into the plastic. And I like to run into the plastic like that, but here I don't have it. And a lot of times in open water, I don't run that, but I'm skipping under docks. Put that little bit of tape in there. It helps with not ripping the bait. But essentially, instead of hooking all the way through like a lot of guys do, I actually hook my hook where it's parallel like that, and that's so it doesn't snag up on stuff, and it still works the same. But then you put your nail weight in. Here's the other trick. So when you put your nail weight in here, what I do too is I take a little bit of, I'll get it so that plastic actually engulfs it. But not only that, see what happens when you skip this thing, because you're putting a lot of friction, and it's causing that weight to slide out. So the first thing I do is I take a little bit of glue. You can get a Mendic glue, like I've talked about in the past, for fixing various soft plastics, swim baits and stuff, or you can just get a super glue. I super glue it, and then I spray it with like I don't know, Berkeley, or whatever your favorite scent is, and then I do it that way, and that will help you be able to utilize it. But what I do with this thing is I start just in picking apart the dock, If I have to run based on time, like I just need to hit a huge line of dogs, I'm just going to skip it all the way underneath there because it seems to be the most effective. But if I have time to really take it apart, I just pick apart each. I look at those various foundational parts of the dock and I hit those and I skip it underneath as far as I can possibly get into certain things. There'd be different pillars. I did it in Florida. I did it really effectively in Wisconsin. At least for day one, I went through and was able to nail these fish off the docks and do it pretty quickly. But in Florida, I was able to go behind people on Toho and there's some other smaller tournaments I did, but these are ones granted I didn't do very well there, but I did save my day on there by going behind people that are fishing these docks. I mean, they're just getting pounded and going through with this Neko rig, skipping it underneath and fishing in places where most people can't even get, like, there's not a whole lot of guys that are super good at skipping like a half-ounce jig way up there. But if you can skip a bait like this up there and it has that, tantalizing fall and action, man, you get bit a lot. And I was able to go in there, get my limit. And granted, I couldn't get a kick or anything, but I was able to get a limit real quickly by hitting these docks. And they were getting pounded. These docks were getting pounded, not only by the organization I was fishing with then, the UPFL, but then there's a couple other tournaments going on at the same time. They're all hitting the same areas because there's a shad spawn and whatnot. Then after that, it would die down, but there'd still be a plethora of guys just hammering this area. And I was able to use that Neko rig, go in there and do that. And I've done it elsewhere. I do this. I've used this thing on the Havasu, going behind people, even in docks there too, and skipping it way up in there and picking off fish that have seen other baits, have seen the jigs, the spinner baits, the what have you, that's been put in their face while they're sitting in these docks. Anyway, so the Neko rig. Don't look past that when it comes to dog fishing. It will save you in a number of ways. And not even just that. Look at docks, but look at other heavy cover. And you can beef these rigs up if you need to. But other heavy cover situation, bushes, I can't think of anything, or artificial structure. I was doing that at Havasu. That's where I've used this at Havasu very effectively. Artificial structure, using it to feel your way through cages and popping up over the cages when the fish gets it. Especially with utilizing forward-facing technology, you can watch this bait pop up over the cage. You can watch the fish come and grab it, and then you can utilize that also to take the fish away from the cage so he doesn't nick your line or whatnot. But Neko rig is very effective in cover, and these other situations where you normally just be tossing jigs, tossing spinner baits, tossing Texas rigs, and maybe giant Cinco or something. But anyway, that is my theories in finesse for today, and then a little bit of diatribe on these circuits, which I'm very happy with what's going on out west. And then there'll be more on Lake Mojave too, coming with one bass. And but anyway, peace out.